Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Money Talks podcast. I am your guest for today, Alessia, and I have the big honor and pleasure to introduce today's guest, Mark Sadovnick. I don't want to give too much away from the beginning, so I'll just say that we will dive into his insights today on this new era of redefining leadership, his approach to talent identification, and his experience working across both for-profit and social profit sectors. So Mark, welcome, and thank you so much for joining me in this conversation today.
No, it's totally my pleasure. I'm excited, and I like the fact that you pronounced my name perfectly. And I also like the fact that you didn't call it a nonprofit, you called it I call them social profits, not nonprofits. So
I've done my homework. I've seen
we are aligned.
All of your interviews until now.
All of them, wow.
Not all of it, yes. Some of them. So Mark, what's your story? Can you tell us a bit more how it all started? Maybe not on the professional part yet, just like, yeah.
No,
that's how it all started, yeah.
You kind of remind me when you asked that question, you may be too young to remember Jay Leno, but The Tonight Show, he used to interview Robin Williams. I don't know if you know who Robin Williams is. And all I had to do was say, hey, Robin. And then he couldn't get another word in edgewise because Robin would just tell the whole story and just keep going all the time. But I promised him not to do that. So, yeah, first, it's an honor to be here, too. And say hello to Anna Maria and Victoria for me. They're awesome. And story, born in Montreal, Canada. Speak English, parle français, un poco de español también. And grew up, regular family, not necessarily a lot of money, but a lot of love and caring and even some hugs and stuff like that. And played a lot of hockey. I'm a big hockey fan. So that we'll talk about in the story too. I learned a lot, and I believe sports mimics life, and I learned a lot in that with respect to leadership. And then went to McGill, pretty good school in Canada, and got my CPA, which is professional accounting. Started with Deloitte. And that was a great experience. Even though, with all due respect to Deloitte, I never wanted to be a partner in an accounting firm. And then went on from there. I don't know if you want me to keep going or how you want to do this, but I can give you a little bit of there.
On your professional journey. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I know that you're not an accountant anymore, and you're doing something completely else. So can you share now about your professional journey, please?
Yeah, and before I do that, I do want to go to the most important thing, which is, like you said, family and whatnot. So I've got I got three sons, great, early 30s, late 20s. They're the whole ball game. That's the legacy. That's the joy and everything. And I have a bonus daughter from Denmark who married my middle son, who's an actor. And it's interesting. She had told me in Denmark, some other countries, they don't use like stepmom, stepbrother, or anything like that. They use the term bonus. And even though she's a daughter-in-law, we decided bonus daughter, even for that, sounds a lot better. And so I have three great sons and a bonus daughter. And I live in Hermosa Beach now, which is LA. So anytime you want to come visit, we can go have lunch for Diamond Beach is right over there, and enjoy that, which is good for mental health, for sure. And been in the States since about 1982, which at this point you're supposed to say, oh, you moved when you were 2, right? So that we start calculating the age and everything. But and again, just personal. Still play hockey, enjoy sports, get together with my sons a lot and friends and whatnot. We go down early to the beach lots of times, or late in the afternoon, and exercise and stretch, and then we mess it all up by having lattes and Danish and everything after that. So it's so in that sense, I'm super grateful of my family and where I live and things of that, and also the opportunity I've had to travel, which we'll get into more professional as well about, which has really enriched my life, and it certainly makes you realize, as you and your colleagues will know, how important that is to understanding people and what's going on in the world. So that's the personal stuff, and then we can get how that led into the professional.
Yeah, we can do that. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. So professional. I learned early on from sports, especially about leadership, about teamwork, and things like that. From playing sports, especially hockey, and then from coaching it, and having the opportunity to coach my sons, but then also a lot of others. But professional wise, I was in with Deloitte, and fortunately, unfortunately, I was pretty good at what I did in audit and tax and consulting. But one partner at Deloitte saw that I didn't really enjoy it, and but I couldn't get out of it because I was good at it. And so, but he saw I didn't enjoy it, and he basically noticed that, and then took me aside and had me do stuff in more client relations, more understanding about the businesses, more being the MC of different events at the company, and that was really and recruiting and things of that nature. So it really taught me a lot about people, and one of the things I'm going to go back a bit. When I speak to people a lot, or it's on my Leaders Who Care podcast or whatnot, I ask them, who have been influencers in their lives. And so I go back even before. When I speak, I talk about my grandfather a lot, who was from Kyiv. Him, my grandmother, my mom, my aunt were from Kyiv, and they moved to Canada a long time ago. And when I was around 5 or 6, he used to take me for walks in the park. And one day I saw he talked to a lot of people, which is probably where I got that from. And he smiled at everybody. I asked him, well, how do you know all these people? And he said just that. Well, one day I smiled at this person over there, and he started walking over to me. I didn't know what he was going to say. And then he smiled at me back, and I felt good about it. And then someone else saw that we were talking and laughing and came over also and smiled. And I said it as a 5-year-old to myself. I remember saying, well, this is pretty easy to make friends and feel good. You just smile. And it was brilliantly simple.
Is that easy?
Which is something that partner at Deloitte told me. He said, life might be complicated, but really answers and solutions are brilliantly simple, he told me. And so it stuck with me. And then as I grew up and got older, I saw that a smile can go a long way to influence people and be influenced, and take it from there. So that's the tie into my Deloitte partner, who said about brilliantly simple. And then along the track, I got recruited to another town called Winnipeg, which people would know in Canada is moving to a colder city, even in the winter, but beautiful, and smaller, super warm people, great people, that invited you in for dinners and this and that. And I was involved in an organization called JC's, which is a social profit on leadership. But I also got involved on purpose. I got to work for the largest real estate developer at the time, brought me in there. And through your life, if you don't take notice of the milestones, or you take notice of the experiences and who you meet and why, what happened, I think you miss out a lot about enjoying the journey. And I went to the owners of the real estate company, and I said, the marketing guys are bringing me in to close the deal all the time, and they're making way more money than me. So can I do it instead? And talking about projects, and they sent me my first community that I went out to talk about real estate development was a Mennonite community, which is kind of like Amish and that type. And people were coming in on buggies and cars and everything. And long story short, I remember being a little bit nervous. It was the first big presentation, but they were awesome. They were awesome in saying, well, if you don't know that, let's find out together, or maybe we can do this, maybe we can do that. And they didn't judge me for being young or whatever. And we made a big deal. And I learned a lot then, that if you are just honest, and I just interviewed a fellow that said, elevating leadership through elevating honesty, he told me. And if you're just being honest and authentic, it's amazing how much you can get done, and how much leadership you really do show, more so than pretending and BSing to know everything, because that doesn't work, and it usually comes back to get you anyways. And that's usually ego on top of it, and that doesn't work. So that was a great lesson I learned there. And at the same time, of course, I had to maneuver myself into knowing the people at the pro hockey team at that time in Winnipeg, and they asked us if we could help them get more kids involved. And long story short, which by the way is impossible for a Canadian Jewish guy, it just doesn't work. So we said sure, and we ended up getting 3,000 plus kids joining this basically fan club in less than 4 days, pre-internet and anything like that. And so they offered me my dream job to work for a pro hockey team in a senior position. And at the same time, because this project went so well and got noticed across Canada, JC's International, with the world headquarters in Miami, offered me to be the executive director. At less than 2/3 the salary, moving to another country, a patriotic Canadian that doesn't want to move from Canada, and work for my dream job, a hockey team. And the only person that told me to take that job was the president of the hockey team that offered me the other job. And so another example of someone that really cared about me to not achieving what he wanted was to have me come work there. And he was right. He said, look, the money will come later. He said, yeah, it's not fair that you're not getting as much, but the money will come later. The experiences that you're going to have are spectacular. And it was. I moved to Miami and traveled around the world and met a lot of great leaders. Met a lot of sucky ones too, to be honest, all over the place. And yeah, it was spectacular. And so, do you want me to continue?
No, it's fine. Actually, good that you touched on it. I wanted to ask you, I think you don't regret your decision. Is this, reflecting back, is this what you envisioned for yourself, where you are now?
No, nor did I envision myself, when I was a kid. I didn't say, wow, I want to be a headhunter and work on talent. I actually, have conversations with a lot of young kids too, like 8 to 18, and see what they're doing. And, at the age of 12, my best friend was my hockey stick, I think. And so I didn't envision anything like that, like some of the young people do now. And, but what I did do is I had the opportunity and good fortune of having leaders who care, not to be cute, because that's what we focus on, about me and about other people. And it's not a big revelation to know that mentors and champions for yourself and leaders who really do care about you, those are the people you want to hang around, and let them help you help yourself. And never thought the path would be to live in Miami. Never thought the path would be for me to live in Los Angeles or Hermosa Beach right now. But just like you have to be open heart, open mind to people, you also have to be open heart, open mind to opportunities, and try to make the right decision. And when you do make the decision, make it work.
Thank you. That's so interesting. And Mark, you are now the managing partner under many things. You have many achievements under your belt at the Fifth Element Group. And you did mention leaders who care. You are committed to partnering with leaders who care. I was curious to know, how do you define good leaders within your organization, or leaders who care?
Well, I'll use the line because I learned a lot from leaders also myself. I had a conversation with an executive several months back. He said, I'm having the best success and the most fun being the CEO that I've ever had. He said, I can actually show emotion. I can actually be vulnerable, and man, I don't have to worry or try to pretend that I know everything. I learned how to trust people in my organization, and the ones that are really good end up flourishing because I trust them to do that. And then I can do other stuff, not worrying about all that. More time for my family, more quality time with my family, and business becomes successful. So, a leader who cares about their talent, who cares about both making an economic impact and a social or environmental impact at the same time, are the ones that are usually most successful in their business and in their family, etc. And I noticed that with the president of the hockey team. I noticed that with the Deloitte partner. I noticed that with my grandfather. So a leader who cares is somebody that does that. And it's funny how things work out because it becomes easier. They say it takes more muscles to frown than to smile. And yet for some reason we like frowning more. Maybe it's exercise for our mouth. I don't know. But then smile. And it kind of connects back to my grandfather. It's funny when you do look at someone and smile, it does something physiological or psychological to a person. And I also had another fellow who was the vice chairman of Royal Bank of Canada Wealth Management. He's now a senator in the Canadian government. And he told me, and we always talk about this story, he told me when he was vice chairman, he used to walk around in the offices and he saw the difference between walking around and saying, hey, Jane, hey, Joe, hey, Juan, hey, how's it going? Or stopping at their door of their office and saying that, or going into their office, saying, excuse me, sitting down for 2 minutes, not more, looking at the person and saying, how's it going, Jane? And the fact that he sat down meant that it just was a different feeling. It meant that he really did care. He meant that he really was interested. And he also knew not to stay longer than 2 minutes because it would make them uncomfortable. The vice chairman sitting there for so long, and what do they do with that? And that's really part of what a leader does. And when we look at leaders who care, we do two major things really quick. We get hired by organizations to help them amplify the impact that they want to make, whether that's any of these SDGs, and usually it's multiple, and they retain us to help them do that. And then we create omni wins by bringing others that want to make similar impact together to make bigger impact altogether. And that allows us to represent our clients with proof as leaders who care about their people and making an impact, and then attract the best talent, because the really good talent wants to work where they can both make money and have purpose. So it goes back to when I took less than 2/3 salary, but the president told me it'll be worth it. You shouldn't have to take that to work in an organization and make an impact. And you shouldn't have to give up making an impact just to make money. You should be able to, and you need to, for social and environmental impact to be sustainable, there has to be economic impact to make that happen. And that's how we look at leaders. When we take on clients, we will ask them directly and discuss with them, what do you care about? What is important to you for your business, for your people, etc. And there's some that would love to, but they don't know how also, because they're so busy with things like, we got to do good on our next quarterly reporting, which is a whole other topic. I'd be happy to talk anytime, because I think that makes for companies to make wrong decisions on the total emphasis of quarterly reporting. It should be there, but not that much to decide everything. And before you know it, you're already working on the next quarter. So, and we had one recently, a big real estate related company that said, he said, we care about a lot of things, but we don't really have time and this and that. And then he said, we sure would love to have more diversity on our board and in our management. Well, we can help them with that. And because they were committed to putting a budget to that, we were willing to work with them on that and help attract the people. It all comes together. You're going to get greater people if you care. This isn't rocket science. Hugging is good. You may not want to be careful who you hug at what time in an office, but hugging is good. But you can hug with your eyes, and you can hug by your actions as well. And life's short. It also helps you enjoy what you're doing.
That's great. And also, I understand that you are also passionate about fostering leadership from a young age. I mean, you mentioned before that you are working on some initiatives or programs that you are supporting or empowering young talents from 8 to 18 years old. How is that looking? Do you notice any differences in these young leaders who is going to be the new generation and maybe redefine again leadership?
Yeah, it's so I love coaching younger people in sports, and because you teach them and you get involved in a lot more than just playing the sport. 99.9% of them are not going to make professionals. So there's something else that you have to make sure happens with young people when you're coaching them in sports, and same thing in business. And it's selfishly, it's inspiring to me to talk to them and see what they're doing. But the reason we started the Leaders Who Care video series, podcast, whatever you want to call it, was to highlight people that are leaders who care and showing and telling their story that it works for all aspects. Finally, we got to the point where I said, we got to bring the kids into this. So we have 18 years and up, and that's youth too, obviously, and people doing amazing things. But so we started putting it out there and creating a pipeline of young people. And every era wants to make a difference. Every era of young people does want to make a difference. They want to rebel in a positive way and do things. However, I think this one sees an urgency for what I'm sure your audience would know, the urgency of climate change and all those things going on that they see is important. And so then I started bringing them on in regular conversations. And the best way I can describe it is giving you examples. The first one is a young gal, 10 years old, Skylar, who is now just turned 11, and she's finishing writing her 5th book at 11. And it's about family and values and mindfulness and caring and stuff like that, and experiences she has as a young person, and blows me away. Amazing. She's been on TV now of stuff and people talking to her and all sorts of things. Another young lady in Soroma was in Liberia, from Liberia, Africa. And she had recently actually moved to the States. And she talked to me about how she was bullied. And she didn't know why. So she started doing research, and she saw that everybody has melanin in their body. And it's just a matter of what shade and darkness and whatnot you get. But we're all human beings, she said to me. And so at the age of 12, she started a skincare company, and she actually has products now. But what she said was amazing. She said, I want every kid to feel empowered in their own skin. That's pretty amazing for 12-year-old. Remember, I said at 12, my best friend was my hockey stick. So that's pretty amazing. Another young man who's 13, Ethan, big on social media. He goes by E-Train Talks. He's all over social media talking to people. He speaks at schools. He speaks at libraries about how important literacy is and reading. And I said, well, why do you do this? What made you do this? He said, well, I want to help the next generation. And I said, Ethan, you are the next generation. I don't understand. And he said, well, I want my kids, and especially even younger kids, they need to know now, and they may not have access like maybe I do, and see the value of it. So I'm sharing it. I mean, they blow you away, and they inspire you, and they make you feel great with all the negative stuff that goes on in the world. You know, we need more and more of that. And if we can create a foundation of leaders who care, coming up, then, you know, you can be competitive and still be caring and kind at the same time. And if you allow me, I'll give you one example I give all the time. Sports leagues, you have a league, whether it's with soccer / football or hockey or whatever, there's teams in the league. They're very competitive to win the championship. They all want to win the championship. They'll do almost whatever it takes to win the championship, you know, and they'll be pissed at the other team and everything like that. However, they know that the championship they win, first of all, they know that, and one executive told me, the goal is every year to win a championship, but they're not naive. It's hard to win a championship of a big league every year. But the mandate they usually have is to have winning seasons. And that's what leaders look to have, is consistent winning seasons every year and win some championships. They also know that their championship won't have any value if the league has no value. So if the league's not good and it's not competitive and doesn't have values in what it does and help the community, then the championship they win won't have value either. And bottom line is, on our planet is the league, and we're all teams in the league. And so same difference. We can be competitive and you want to win. And as one young lady in Nigeria said, who learned how to play chess, and she started getting better and better and better. And then she got better in the country. Then she got better internationally. And long story short, and she got really good. And then one person asked, well, you don't win all the time, so how do you take losing? And she said, well, I don't lose. And they said, well, you're not winning all the time. She said, no, I win or I learn. She doesn't lose, she learns. And that's how we all have to do it. And there's leaders who care know how to both win and they know how to lose also. And it's important to know how to lose to enjoy better how to win. But it's your character and how you act with other people when you both win and lose that really tells the tale of a person. And that applies to life in general, whether it's business or personal. So that's all in there with the young people, and they get it. And that's what they have to bring. We have to give them the opportunity to move that forward.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm also curious to ask you, because you've experienced this firsthand, what are your thoughts on if there are any differences between the for-profit and, like you say, the social profit sectors? Is there a different approach in acquiring or like headhunting talent there? Do the individuals who want to work for the social profit, do they have to have this philanthropic side in them?
A quick answer is I don't think so. No, I think I think first of all, there's different types of for-profit and social profits and different stages of those that you bring in the right fit, or what we call the right fit culture add to the organization. So I came out of private and became the executive director of a social profit, a global leadership development. I do think that social profits can be more sustainable and successful making money. The only difference is they put the money back in their social profit and make it even better. It doesn't mean you're looking to win over everybody and someone else lose, as I talked about before. It means you're looking to be better and better and sustainable in your impact. If you're always having to be desperate for money, if you're in survival mode, you cannot be as creative and competitive and do well if you're always just trying to survive. You've got to be thriving. And so it does need a perspective when we do recruit for social profits. You naturally want someone that has a passion for what their purpose is, that social profit, and really believes in it and wants to be there in their heart and soul. They believe in it, and because there's a little bit of a different world, and it depends again on the stage of the social profit. The same way it depends on a startup. We work with a lot of young, growing companies as well. There's a lot of work to be done if you're working for a startup, and you have to know how to not just work there, you have to know how to thrive on a startup environment, literally thrive on a startup environment. And your spouse or partner or mom or dad or whatever have to know that they have to all be supportive of somebody in that position too, because there is a lot of work and risk and excitement and nervousness and everything else that you're doing there. So they're basically the same, because you are looking for that right fit culture add. And when I say right fit culture add, I mean right fit can be misinterpreted that you're exactly the same as everybody else in that organization. Culture add means you're not. You're actually bringing more culture, more experience, more impact, more effort to the table, which any coach or leader will tell you. If they all have ego, but if they have good ego, and they are secure in themselves, they will always hire people that know more than them in one way or another to make the team, the organization more successful. So going back to the recruiting part is, it's really important to know the management and the people at the organization, so you can share that with the candidates, because the candidates we work with are not necessarily looking for jobs. They're looking for opportunities to make the economic impact for them and their family, and to make the social impact as well, or environmental impact. And what's great about that is leaders who care want those people to want that, because then they'll continue that in their organization and it'll be sustainable. And if we can all come together on that type of mindset, then all types of businesses and all can be successful. And just as another note, the world's changing now big time with AI, in case anybody hadn't noticed, and it's going to change dramatically in all sorts of ways: financial, physical, mental well-being. All of that's going to change. Some people are going to lose their jobs. Some people are going to hopefully upskill to different jobs. But I also think there's going to be a different workforce that will be out there to some degree. And we've had discussions on this with respect to leadership too recently, where I was on an UNGA panel recently that was called AI and Love Intelligence. And number one, how do we bring love language, caring language, purpose language to AI like we would to a newborn baby that's growing? And it won't be perfect, but it'll be leaning towards that type of language that it comes back to us with. And there's a possibility that potentially companies can make more money by having AI do jobs that people do now, but maybe they can take half of that profit, pay salaries to employees to upskill or to keep working for them, maybe 2, maybe 3 days a week, and the other 2 or 3 days a week maybe work in the community, which is being paid for by the companies with some of the extra profit they made by AI replacing. And it could be a whole new future of work. And imagine how people may be happier, the community is more taken care of, the business is thriving still. That's another form of leadership, is can leaders take that on and think about the whole community and how that business can be involved and make more money even, and rather than just how do we make more profit, financial, quarterly reporting, and not care about that. So that could be exciting, hopefully.
So, Mark, what are you most excited for right now, personally or professionally?
Doing this with you. What are you talking about? I'm excited about I'm excited what I'm always excited about. I'm excited about my sons and my bonus daughter and what they're going to do in the world, and being proud of them. And it's funny, as parents, you realize you're actually way more excited about the experiences and accomplishments your kids have than you have, which in a weird way sounds, well, you're going to be more excited about your stuff and then your kids too, but it's usually the other way around. And so that's what I'm excited about with Leaders Who Care, the young people. And I would say the 8 to 29-year-olds, not just the 8 to 18, 8 to 29-year-olds, and who are going to do great things. And just like a sports team, you have to have the veterans and the young people on a team to win a championship. It can't just be veterans, older ones, or just young people. It's got to be a combo. And the best people, more senior people say, wow, I'd love to work with a young person. They can teach me this and this and this. And the young person says, wow, I'd love to work with Joe or Jane. They can teach me the wisdom of this and this and this. This isn't rocket science. This is like smart to do that. And so, if we all care about each other, and it's not fluffy, it's actually real. We need to do it. And then I think, our financial, physical, and mental well-being will be way better off.
That's so important. Actually, and unfortunately, we've come to the end of this conversation. Mark, I could talk to you for days because you're so good at storytelling, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the first one saying this to you. I'd like to give you the chance to maybe say something, a message or a call of action, whatever, or how can people find you, connect with you, to close this conversation for today?
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate you inviting me, first of all, to this. You guys are doing great stuff as well, and I look forward to engaging and doing a lot more with you, because you're on that path of making a difference and an impact out there. So congrats and way to go, and I'm honored to be on this. And I would just say, and it might sound redundant, that I welcome people to contact me through Fifth Element or on LinkedIn or whatnot, and maybe be part of the Leaders Who Care series to share your story, the impact you're making, or recommend someone that we can highlight, share their story, as well as the 8 to 18-year-olds that are doing cool stuff. Doesn't mean they have to start a company. They might be doing a great project or whatever. Let's share their stories and inspire them and us to do the same. And then we're always happy to talk to executives and help them with their talent needs and getting them that right fit culture ad people to make them economically and socially more successful.
So there you go. And thank you so much for tuning in today. Mark, thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure.
Thanks. My pleasure.